Thank you, happy.
Trekking through the stars with Hollywood's finest, accompanied by Canada's thespian talents at Paramount, this is your official hub for all things Star Trek. You're watching A Captain's Log.
He's Bryan Kreutz, and I'm Lili Fox-Lim, and we're your hosts for bringing you the most in-depth analysis, retro reviews, and rare cast and crew interviews. This week, we continue our interview in part 2 with Tanya Lemani.
Yes, can't wait for this interview. While she is remembered for her role in the 1967 Star Trek episode titled Wolf in the Fold, Tanya Lemani is an accomplished actress and belly dancer. She worked with the likes of Bob Hope, Elvis Presley, and had a real-life relationship with the William Shatner. Lili and I are deeply excited about our conversation, a deep conversation with the talented Tanya Lemani.
Oh yes, I'm more than glad we kicked off an engaging, lively discussion on Tanya's definition of success and stardom in Hollywood.
Absolutely. Tanya Lemani recently did an exclusive signing for the Hollywood show, March 1st and 2nd, here in Burbank, California, just nearby. And also, don't worry, there's more signings available with Tanya Lemani on May 17th, 18th, and 19th at StarCon Italia.
Ooh.
So go get your autographs from her in Bologna, Italy for Star Trek. Once again, that's on May 17th, 18th, and 19th. You can't miss out.
Also, in October 2024, there will be an Elvis cruise to Hawaii with Tanya Lemani as a featured guest. Okay,
yes.
Enough updates. Let's resume our interview. BK, I will do the honors of asking the next question, if I may.
Yes, by all means. Ask away, my friend.
Okay, Tanya, you worked in a pilot TV episode for Alexander the Great, starring William Shatner in the title role, and I understand that you dated him. I mean, how was this on and off the set as an actress dating another actor in Hollywood? I'm sure you have a lifetime of stories and memories to share relating to the set of Star Trek at Paramount and off the set in and around Hollywood in regards to cool dating stories.
So when I was on a Star Trek, I was introduced to him, and he looked at me and I go, "Do you remember me from Alexander?" He said, "Yes, I remember you." I go, "Oh my God." So basically, after we finished the filming, I got a phone call from him at home. And he said, and he had this sexy, sexy voice. Oh my God. And he knew it and he used it, you know. So he's whispering in my ear on the phone, he wants to take me out. And he says, "This is Bill." And he goes on, you know. Anyway, I said, "Oh, Bill, I can't do that. You're married." He goes, "Well, I'm not really. I'm going through a divorce." So he talked me into it. We went, had dinner, and when we came, the whole night long, all he did was talk about his wife and his daughters. And I was a good listener, and I said, "Look, you should go and apologize to your wife and let her take you back." "Oh no, she wouldn't take me back." Evidently, he did that a lot to her, you know, cheated her on her, because I didn't know that. Anyway, at the time. So we started dating. And we had a lot of fun. The guy is funny. The guy is great. You know, outside of working, he is funny. I mean, we had a great time. And I really started falling in love with him. You know?
Yeah.
But then I found out that he was dating everybody else. You know? So anyway, I said I can't do that because I was still very old-fashioned, you know, and romantic. I said, "Oh, I can't do it." But I never said anything to him. Every time he would call, I would not answer the phone. My roommate would answer. She says, "I'm not in." I was avoiding him. Years later, we connected, and years later, we start, seeing each other on Star Trek events, and also years later, I arranged for him and his latest wife, Elizabeth, to go to Germany to get an award, because I was arranging for stars to go and appear in different countries. And then also I arranged for him to go Miami to art museum opening. Anyway, and also I did a location managing on a movie that he played a lead. Actually, I talked the producer into talking to Shatner. They said, "Oh, he's just a Star Trek." I said, "No, no, no. He's a very good actor. He's a Shakespearean actor. He's a really good actor. You've got to hire him." Jimmy Doohan, Scotty, I really liked him. He was a amazingly wonderful, warm, intelligent, talented person. And he liked me. I think he might have liked me more than I liked him. I only liked him as a friend. So we went out to dinner a couple of times, and I told him, I said, "Look, I don't, I like you if we can remain friends." And he was okay with that. And we became good friends until the last time I saw him at the last event that he had in Hollywood. And everybody said, "Oh, he doesn't remember things. He doesn't know who anybody is." I said, "Well, I'll go and say hello to him anyway." I came in and I said, "Hi, this is Tanya." He got so excited. He knew who I was. We were talking and laughing, and everybody was looking like, "Really?" So, yeah, we stayed friends to the end. There were some incredibly fabulous people that I will never forget. One of them was Don Adams. He was very funny. He was so wonderful. And I had some lines in the show, and when we were filming, they were running late in the schedule. Has nothing to do with me, just the show. So they start cutting my lines. And I had a lot of lines, but they start cutting my lines. I was sitting there really depressed. Don Adams comes over to me and he says, "What's wrong, Tanya?" I go, "Well, they're cutting my lines, in this show, and I don't know why." He goes, "Okay, just a moment." He goes, talks to them, whatever, comes back. My lines were back. Some were not, but most of them were back. So I only can remember him in such a wonderful way. He's really a good human being, My other movie star, who is my hero, is Rod Taylor. What a great talent he was. And what a wonderful, and he was such a man, he truly was a man. And he was nice, polite, a gentleman. And we were filming a movie called The Hell with Heroes. He and Peter Duell was in it, and Claudia Cardinelli and Harry Gardino. So when I was rehearsing my dance in the studio, I heard a voice of a man who came into the studio on the stage and start using foul language at me. "Hey, this da 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 da, color da." I don't want to say these words, but just think of the words he could have used, sexual words at me.
Yes.
One of them was like, "Come to my the dressing room, come to my trailer and I'll show you blah, 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 blah," And I go, "Who is this guy?" I didn't know who he was, Who is this man? Why is he doing that to me? Why can't somebody stop him, And they said, "Oh, that's Harry Gardino. He's a star and he's playing like a second lead or something, he's the bad guy in this movie." I go, I never heard of him, but please, somebody talk to him. And nobody had the guts to do that. So this went on for days. We went on location where I had a scene with Rod Taylor on the beach. It was kind of an intimate, nice scene between me and Rod Taylor in the beach. There was an incident where it was freezing that morning. We were doing that scene, freezing. And I kept saying to the crew and director and everybody, I said, you've got to bring me something to warm me up, like a robe or something when I, in between shots, when there's stop and go, stop and go. And they didn't pay attention to me. So Rod Taylor and I were doing this scene in the water, and my eyes are watching the waves on the side to make sure that I see if there's a big wave coming. So we're doing this scene, and this huge wave came and got us wet. And that's when Rod Taylor was freezing, right? And when he complained, they paid attention to us. Anyhow, we working on that movie, and Harry Gardino continued to use foul language. Finally, Rod Taylor grabbed him by the collar and he said, hey man, if you talk another word, you speak to this young lady, you've got to answer to me. So what's his name said, yes, man, yes, man, yes, man. I got it. Walked away, never used another bad word at me. So Rod Taylor is my hero. He's my hero.
A Captain's Log returns in a moment.
Thank you for trekking with us on the one and only broadcast television source for Star Trek news and interviews. Welcome back to A Captain's Log. We're in our green screen studio in Los Angeles emulating a science fiction set of an ambassador's quarters on a Federation starship to make you feel more at home. We're taping from the epicenter of entertainment and science fiction, and Star Trek is no doubt at the center of it all, as it is the finest and longest running series in both film and television. Tanya Lemani has an enormous set of contributions to Star Trek, Hollywood, Las Vegas, and the world of entertainment overall. Let's continue our discussion with her.
Absolutely, Lily. Tanya, after watching yourself in Star Trek's Wolf in the Fold episode, what was the most challenging or the most rewarding aspect personally for you once you saw the finished product?
Yes, I would. Yeah, I would, because, the first movie that I had a big role in was called Paradise Road, which was then later changed to Big Daddy with Victor Bueno and Tish Sterling and Chill Wills and Joan Blondell. Mm-hmm. And I played a Seminole Indian. I was a good actress, but I didn't know camera too much at that time. Mm-hmm. So when the time came to do close-up, I overacted. And when we saw dailies, and I looked and I go, oh my God, that's terrible, And of course, I learned how to do, how to be able to act on a long shot, medium shot, and close up. I never did that again. So that's why I would always watch and see if I did anything wrong so I can learn.
You had so much entertainment experience working with Elvis, Bob Hope, and Rod Taylor, and so many others. Are there some memories around Hollywood or Las Vegas that drew you into wanting to work regularly in this industry? And is there something special that you want to share?
He's one of my favorites too. Oh my, we got to know each other rather well. Not dating, but anyways. Mm-hmm. Elvis Presley, I saw him in the movies, and I thought he was cute, and I loved his singing,
Yeah.
But when I was on the set, and I was in the makeup room, Elvis walking with an aura that I'll never forget in my life. I saw his aura. It was beautiful. And he was smiling with his crooked little lip up, smiling, walking around, introducing himself to everybody on the set. So anyway, I had a great experience. After we finished the show, about 18 months later, Elvis was performing at the International Hilton Hotel in a big room, main room. And I had my show in a lounge. And they were in the lounge in those days. It was enclosed and big stage, and people had tables, had drinks. It was a different setup than it is now. It was very glamorous. People were dressed in long gowns with cocktail dresses. Nobody would go anywhere in a casino unless they were dressed properly, you know. And men were suits. Anyway, I had a show, and the Checkmates, they were very popular in those days. Checkmates played there too. So I would perform, they would perform, and there were other acts perform on that stage. Says, oh, you know that Elvis is in the audience. I go, really? I said, well, I have a couple of minutes. I'm going to go say hello to him. So I went and I said, hi. Before I said anything, he got up, and his guys that were with him, they all got up and said, hi, Tanya, and come on, sit with us, join us. I said, well, I really, I said, you're here to see Checkmates. That's what I thought they came to see, you know? He goes, no, we came to see you. I go, you came to see me? He goes, yeah, we came to see your show. I said, oh, well, excuse me, I have to go get ready. So I left thinking, oh my God, I was so nervous because I had to sing in my show. And I thought, okay, dancing is one thing, but singing in front of Elvis, that's something else. I was nervous. I went and put the sexiest outfit and went out there. I did a medley of 3 songs, and Elvis gave me a standing ovation.
Fabulous.
Everybody got up and gave me a standing ovation, you know?
Yeah.
So that was, and then later on, Elvis invited me to see his show and talked to me about acting, because he knew I was involved with the theater and everything, and he was preparing to do a movie. And he asked me many questions. What should I do? How should I approach it? Da 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 da. He was nervous about acting in a straight role instead of musicals, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, look, the best thing I can tell you, if you can get into plays, into theater, and do something. He says, well, I can't do that. I said, then get a good coach. Get a good coach and make sure that he works with you, and you'll be fine. You'll be great. You'll need few pointers that you will need to make your performance fuller, not shallow, but fuller and deeper, because that's what good actors do. They have tools to do this and that, and we learn how to use our tools. The coach will help you with that. And he thanked me. So we remained good friends, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's my experience with Elvis, who's one of my favorite. We spoke also about spirituality. He's very spiritual. He was very spiritual. Anyway, he was wonderful.
Do you still have your dress from Wolf in the Fold when you played Kara, and have you worn it again or one similar to it?
I don't have the original skirt because that's a studio had it, but I made a costume, and I wore it in signing when we do photo op. I did last August also. I was in Las Vegas and wore my costume and did photo op with fans in the costume exactly the same type of costume that I did in the show.
A Captain's Log returns in a moment.
Thank you for trekking with us in Hollywood and behind the stars of the small screen and silver screen. Tanya Lemani's career is blessed with so many performances. But did you know, BK, her career began with a classical ballet dance troupe. She traveled to Las Vegas in search of more work in ballet, but she was offered a job as a belly dancer.
Quite a multi-talented performer, Tanya. Lili, you wanted to ask Tanya about Star Trek fans and that experience, I believe.
Ooh, I do. So Tanya, what are the Star Trek fans like at at conventions. Tell us about this experience with the Star Trek fandom worldwide from your perspective.
I can't even describe you how many fans I have. And they go to my website, they buy my books, they buy my photos, they buy everything I have, anything, you know. So the fans are crazy. They get dressed, when they go to these events, they get dressed in different costumes from the shows. If you ever go, if anybody goes to Star Trek conventions, they'd love it because you see all these characters walking around.
Tanya, you have a couple of books that you wanted to tell us about that you wrote with your unique experiences with William Shatner and Elvis and coming to the United States, including your father's journey. Can you tell us about that?
I'll show you my first one, okay?
Okay.
This is my first book called Have Belly Will Travel, okay? And Have Belly Will Travel is all about my experience in Hollywood. And including, can you see the book all right?
It looks perfect. Yes.
Okay, including my romance with Shatner that goes into more detail than I talked about, okay? And a lot of sexual harassment things that took place in Hollywood. And when I wrote this first book, it was still Me Too was not in existence. So in those days, sexual harassment, we can never, ever tell anybody or complain to anyone about it. And we had to learn how to deal with that situation. A lot of times we lost roles. Me personally, I had to learn how to be a diplomat. I would go, and whenever I see the producer, director getting really hot, I knew what was coming, you know? And when they start approaching me and so on and so forth, I start changing the subject. I start singing Have an Nagila or start dancing or start doing something to distract them, to make them laugh. And after they laughed, some of them forgot what they were going to do. That was one of my tricks.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to read those, Tanya. We're going to show viewers here on A Captain's Log 2 book covers. Have Belly Will Travel is all about your fame and your time in Hollywood and Las Vegas. And could you please talk more about your second book, The Passport to Freedom?
I did another book, just finished. It's called Passport to Freedom.
Okay.
And this is about my parents growing up in Ukraine during Stalin and Lenin and experiencing horror in that country. Lenin was promising the people equality, promised lots of work, he promised lots of food, and on and on and on. And once they took charge of the people, common people, you know, everything changed. People would disappear. People would be sent to Siberia. Jewish people were massacred, sent to Siberia. I mean, any wrong, anything, word or anything, you can't teach your children how to pray. The churches were closed. The priests were sent away or killed or whatever, disappeared, etc., etc., etc. So it's a human story. It's not a documentary about it, what happened politically there. It's not. The characters, which are my family, my grandparents, my aunt, my uncles, my parents, all of those stories would touch about political thing what was going on. But it's a human story, how people struggled there. Like, for instance, I'll give you a little sample. My father's father, who started with nothing. And he was married, as a matter of fact. He was married to my grandmother, who was a daughter of the serfs, which were used to be the slaves in Russia. They were called serfs. So my great-grandmother was a serf, okay? And my grandfather, my dad's father, married her. So that's kind of an interesting story. And also, my grandfather, he started with a small mom and pop shop, and then he grew and grew and grew, and they built the farm into a big farm, and he even made some kalbasas and sold them to different countries. So they did well. They were doing well. During communism, people were dying of starvation, and my grandfather was very smart. He knew that was coming, so he built a cellar underneath his house, a cold cellar thing, and he put like ham, this and that, lots of food in that cellar. He was hiding it because when communist soldiers came, they would check the farm, and they said it belonged to the government now, but my grandfather had to take care of it anyways. So they were watching. So whenever hungry people came to his door, knocking on the door, he would secretly feed them. He would get some food and feed them. And a lot of people came to the door and he would feed them. But the people who didn't, they died on the street of starvation. It was a horrible time in that country, So there's a lot of stories like that. And then what happened is my parents grew up and individually ran away to Iran. My mom went with her girlfriend. It's all in this book.
Tanya, thank you for being with Lili and I here on A Captain's Log. I know we've learned so much and we've listened to so many knowledgeable stories that we could go on for much more than just this half hour.
Oh, truly. Watch this. No pain, no gain, right, Star Trek fans?
It's Klingon for success, I guess. You successfully caught me off guard. Trekkies, join us next week for another interview here on A Captain's Log, where I'll catch our guest, Andre Bormanis, off guard, like Lili just caught me, with a question or two. But bye for now. We'll see you next week.